Hello, and welcome back to the Stamp Here Show. My name is Greg, and I'm your host. This is going to be episode 10. I just got back from Boston 2026, the World Stamp Expo, after spending about a week there. And one of the things that I did while I was there is I brought my Tours collection, which is an acronym that stands for Top Right Envelope Statement. It's things that are in the top right corner of an envelope, and they typically say "Place Stamp Here." Now, I brought my collection. I showed it to a few people. I talked to a few other people about it. There seemed to be a lot of interest in terms of this being an area of philately that's not really being explored right now. I thought I would do a video about how I find tours for my collection and how I get them from the mail or from mixtures of stamps, and then I get the stamp off the top of them and then put them in my collection. We're also going to talk about how I sort these and give you some terms that I've come up with to address some different types of these kinds of philatelic items. I think that it's an important part of philatelic history in terms of something that's been in the foreground for a lot of stamp collectors, and nobody seems to notice them. And it's just something that I started collecting. How I got into it was I was going through a stamp mixture, and I found a number 720. It's a 3-cent Washington stamp from 1932, and next to it was a tour that said place 3-cent stamp here. And at the same time, I was trying to come up with a name for my YouTube channel, and so it kind of clicked in my head, maybe I should call it the Place Stamp Here Show. And then I started collecting these because I was soaking a lot of stamps off of paper, and I would find a lot of these underneath the stamps. So that's how I got started about 5 years ago, maybe. Through the course of the last week, being in Boston and then trying to take a historic look at these things, I've really come to redo my collection a couple of times, and I've come up with kind of a structure of how these work. So initially I was calling all of these tours. And again, that means top right envelope statement, because I went to some publishing companies. I was trying to find, like from paper manufacturers, what they would call the little note in the top right corner. The closest thing I could find was somebody had posted on there that we can print envelope statements in the corner of the envelope for you. So that's where I got the envelope statement from, and I think it fits. And then the top right comes from the post office trying to encourage U.S. citizens to place the stamp in the top right corner. And this has been going on since at least 1853, when the first postal stationery cards came out. I think they were called the Nesbitt designs. And ever since then, the post office has been trying to push for people to put stamps in the top right corner. This really helps, especially once things became automated, for machines to determine where the stamp is, and then they use that to align your letter to put it into the DPS for the mailman to deliver. DPS stands for delivery point sequence, I think. But you get these big trays of mail that are in delivery point sequence from the P and DCs, the mail sorting facilities that a lot of major cities have, where they get all the mail in, and then they sort it by zip code and by route, and then by delivery sequence, so that a mailman just has, or a mail person can just pull up to a house and the next address would be in line to be delivered. And if you go to the USPS website, they have a page that explains how to mail letters and where to put the addresses and the stamp, and they really emphasize putting it in the top right corner. So that's where top right envelope statement comes from, is from that paper company plus the post office saying where they want the postage. Okay. Well, since I've come back from Boston, and I was trying to find when people started using Place Stamp Here's on letters and postcards, I have determined that I need to split these things that I'm finding that say please stamp here on them into 3 different categories. And I haven't come up with a name that encompasses everything yet, because top right envelope statement doesn't apply to things like postcards because they're not on an envelope, it's on a card. So right now I'm just calling all of them place stamp here's, because that's usually what they'll say, or some variety of that. It's kind of like if you use facial tissue, everyone calls them Kleenexes, even though it might be like the Kirkland brand from Costco or another paper manufacturer that makes the facial tissue, but it's become synonymous in our culture to call them Kleenexes. And I feel the same way about the place stamp here's. Like, most of them will have some sort of version of place stamp here. So like place stamp here is the brand, right? And then sometimes it'll say put stamp here, or place postage here, or postage required, or place first class postage here, some kind of version of that, but it all kind of falls under this umbrella of place stamp here. So the 3 types of place stamp here's that we're going to talk about today are first the tours, which is top right envelope statement. Those are found on envelopes. Crazy enough. And I have a number of envelopes here. I'm just going to kind of show you on the other camera the types of ones that I find in my mail. These are all from the last month or so, in the last couple of months. So like here's one, like my internet company, Costco. This is the one I get my water bill every month. I think this is from like a doctor's office or something. These are all different. This one's from the Idaho governor asking me for money. This one's from another utility company, I think, filing for a business license. From a hospital. Another political is from one of my credit cards, I think. Here's another political. I forget where I got this one. I think this was from the county for something. This one's from Mystic Stamp Company. This one's from the APS, the American Philatelic Society. Here's one from a charity. Here's another political. Here's another charity. Here's another political. This is from another charity. So I got all these in the mail, like in the last 2 months. We just had like a primary election, so I was getting a lot of mail about that. And I think I needed like 7 of these for my collection. So this is one way to get tours. These typically can be identified because of the flimsy paper that they're printed on, right? Like envelopes are pretty thin paper, and a lot of times they have some kind of security pattern in here, so someone can't hold it up to the light and read your routing number and your bank account number off a check that you might or if you're mailing cash, it's a little bit harder to see if there's money in there. There's a whole bunch of different security papers, and it's pretty normal to see, but those are the two major characteristics of the envelopes, is like a flimsy lightweight paper and the security feature. The second one I'm calling, okay, I didn't come up with this term. I just found this like the day before yesterday. I'm pretty excited about it. I was searching online about some of the earliest uses of a place stamp here. So far, and this is only a few hours in, the earliest ones I'm seeing on envelopes are from the late 1920s, early 1930s. I believe that goes back further than that. I just don't have concrete evidence of that yet. I'm still working on that. But for postcards are a little different. I don't want to get into the history of postcards right now, but there is a person or a group of people that have been researching how to date postcards, particularly the real photo postcards. The people that were running this website to date these real photo postcards, or RPPC for short, they called these stamp boxes. And I like that term, stamp boxes. It's simple and elegant and to the point. So I'm calling the place stamp here's, and then you have the tours, which are on envelopes, and then you have the stamp boxes, which are on postcards. And one way to tell if a stamp's on a postcard is the paper's a little bit stiffer than an envelope. It's pretty rigid. And I mean, if you take a postcard and shake it, it's pretty firm and crisp versus kind of a floppy envelope, right? And typically, if you're talking about the top right corner of a postcard where the stamp is, you're going to see trees or a blue sky or something, usually like in a landscape photo. When you get to that point, that's what you're going to see on the back. One way to get stamp boxes is from postcards. So like here's a place stamp here without a border. This one's a little bit older, but this is just a place stamp here. I got this one last year outside of Vegas. Here is a kind of just a borderless void. This one's a little bit older. It says place postage stamp here. This one's more recent. This one says add a first class postage. Here's a clinker. It's a little flimsier, like a hybrid. Here's another void. Here's an older one from Wisconsin. It says place stamp or put stamp here. And here's one from the Spokane World's Fair. This guy has one underneath the stamp. So anyway, that's another way to get like stamp boxes and place stamp here. This is from postcards. So you have tours on envelopes and you have stamp boxes on postcards. Well, I have a third one. Is kind of an in between the two. And I'm calling these hybrids. For example, this is a little flimsier than a postcard, but it's still like on cardstock. So now I'm going to show you how to find hybrids in the wild. Hybrids are kind of like thin postcards. So they're not really postcards, but they're not on envelopes either. So this one says place stamp or place your stamp here. This is like a reply card from a credit card company just to see if I need to update my information. This one, I just bought an ice maker. So this is like a product registration card. You can see there it says postage required, post office not delivered out postage. And there's a QR code on here. This is, so you can do it online if you want. Most hybrids seem to have like some kind of form involved, like product registration cards, or like form letters, or warranty cards, class action lawsuits. Like this guy is from a class action lawsuit. They're fishing for more plaintiffs. It's for a Subaru windshield settlement. There's just a bunch of text on there. But I've never driven a Subaru, so I don't know why they sent that to me. This one's a little older. I found it in my garage. This is a Sears product information card from like a wheel buffer. Just would ask you a bunch of questions, and you would send this in with a stamp on it to probably a company that they hire to handle those sort of things. The reason why I say that is because here's a Black & Decker and here's a Dremel. But if you look at the hybrids, they're very similar. It's pretty much the same thing, just different color paper. The little barcode on the top is the same. They're both going to the same zip code in Denver. I think it's like just a company that these companies hired because Black & Decker and Dremel aren't owned by the same people. But again, this is just a product registration card, just has all kinds of information on there for you to kind of get the warranty going. But there's all kinds of intrusive questions on here, like how much money do you make, how many kids do you have, that sort of thing. But anyway, but hey, you can win up to $50,000. There's that one. I don't have a ton of examples of these, but like there's the Dremel one. But like here's an older one. This wouldn't have a stamp on it because this is a postal card, but this is the type of thing you would get on one of the older ones of these. It's just a form letter that they would send to the customers with like 7 or 8 different messages on here. They just would check the box right here to let this guy know that his order is on its way. and he should receive it shortly. And then here's another one where it just has like just a form printed on the back of the postal card, just a communication between the business and the customer. Again, this is another like a pre-printed postage, like postal stationery, but it's very similar to the ones that have stamps on them. And again, these are similar to postcards, but not as thick, and they don't have envelopes, so they're not tours. And besides the feel of the paper, how it's kind of firm but not super crisp like a postcard, another way you can tell is on the back. Like I just showed you with these ones, there's often a form on there, or just some kind of notice. So those are what I'm calling hybrids. It's just a thicker paper cardstock, but not as durable as a postcard. So it's kind of in the middle. So you have tours for envelopes, hybrids for information cards you get in the mail, and stamp boxes for postcards. And all three of those you'll see place stamp here on there. But a secondary way to get these is by buying stamp mixtures like this one. This is just a big box of stamps on paper. I bought this one like 7 months ago because it had a lot of more recent self-adhesive stamps on here, something that I'm lacking in my collection. I really like going through mixtures like this. It's called kiloware. And it's just when you buy stamps by the pound or by the kilogram. But I'm going to show you how I would take something like this and I would find place stamp here's, take the stamp off the top, and then add to my collection, or at least see if I don't have that one already. So I'm going to show you how I use a light box, and then I find them, and then I'm going to show you how I soak them off of paper. But you're just going to have to wait until part 2 of this video drops later this week. In the meantime, if you're soaking stamps and you find some place stamp here's, you are more than welcome to send them to me. I will send you money for postage if needed. My post office box is the Place Stamp Here Show, P.O. Box 921, Twin Falls, Idaho, 83301. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.